Hey mamas, we're in the season of raising our teen daughters, but have you found yourself in the in-between stage where you're also raising your parents, caring for your elderly parents? I have Dr. Alison Alford here, who is going to be sharing more about a book that she's wrote called Good Daughtering and really focusing on, what it's like to be a good daughter as well as a good mom in this season of raising kids. A little bit about Allison. She's a clinical associate professor in the Department of Information Systems and Business Analytics. She holds a PhD in communication studies with a concentration in interpersonal communication from the University of Texas at Austin. Allison has 17 years experience during teaching university courses, and her specialties are value proposition, conflict resolution techniques, teamwork, meeting facilitation, and people skills for leaders. Allison is active in her Association for Business Communication and National Communication Association. She owns and operates the coaching and consulting firm Good Talk Communication Consulting as a communication coach. She has worked with professionals and MBA students in the field of engineering, tech, publishing, human resources, sales, finance, and more. She believes anyone can improve their communication skills with effort and energy. By the way, she has just published her book called Good Daughtering, and that is our topic for today. If you are frustrated with how to get your teenage daughter to open up to you because all you want is to connect with her as you once did, you're in the right place. Hey, I'm Jeannie Baldomero, a former rebellious teen, now mom of 3 young adults, educator, and the mom mentor, equipping you to create open communication with your girl so she can come to you about anything, even if she's scared. So grab your oat milk latte, breathe, and let's do this together. Hey mama, this is my invitation to you. Join me in the Talk to Your Teen Girl framework. It's a 6-week course that will get you started in creating a space for your teen to feel safe and respond in a way where your teen girl will feel heard and understood. You are building trust so you can get what you want most from your daughter, and that is to come to you about anything, even if she's scared. So head on now to talktoyourteengirl.com. That's talktoyourteengirl.com. Okay, mamas, like I said, we have a special guest on a topic that it is dear to me. And I know I've talked about it a little bit, skimmed through it a little bit just because we're in that season. But I have Allison here, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper about doing daughtering and what that really means in this season of raising a teenage daughter and being a daughter of elderly parents, being in the sandwich season, which I can totally relate. Allison, hi.
Hi, Jeannie. So glad to be here. Yes, we can relate to that sort of middle ground of being women who are in charge, capable, working, competent parents, but we also have our parents to take care of in a variety of ways. So I love talking about doing daughtering.
I love it. So, what exactly is doing daughtering, and why has it gone unrecognized for so long? I mean, to even put verbiage to it, right?
Yeah, I use the word daughtering because it's an active way of looking at all that adult daughters do in their families. And daughtering is really the invisible mental, logistical, emotional labor and identity work that daughters do to keep that family connection going.
hmm
What I've found is that many women don't even realize they're carrying it until all of a sudden they're exhausted.
Mm. hmm And that's true because I feel it. Feel it when my
Yeah,
head hit the pillow.
Yeah, it's one of those things, it's not just for women whose parents are elderly or ill. It's really something that daughters do all across a lifespan.
Yeah.
Whether you're 25, 35, 55, these are the things that women do to keep everyone connected. And sometimes it's as obvious as a phone call or making a holiday and getting everybody there, planning a vacation. Those things are kind of visible, But a lot of times it's stuff that is invisible or hidden, which is the way that we soothe and smooth people, the
Mm,
times that we prevent conflict or fix conflict. It's also the stuff we're doing even when our parents not around, when we're thinking about them or what they might need or what we might need to be in the future.
right.
So there's a lot that women are doing that we're just not really calibrating or calculating, but we're still doing it and our body knows that we're doing it.
I find that very interesting. As you're talking, I think of incidents for me, and right now I'm taking over, and I know this is just daughtering in general, but I'm taking over my parents' medical, things, and I'm already thinking, okay, what appointments do they need to make? Oh, they need to schedule that. Or I'm looking at my mom's email, and I'm like, I need to schedule those appointments for her. And just doing all the things of what I know could be more, I guess, out of convenience or feeling that obligation to want to do that or have to do that because it needs to get taken care of, on top of being the wife and being a mom, right? With your own kids and taking care of all those things, and how we naturally do that. And we don't realize that that's a lot of pressure we put on ourselves. But yet, moms are probably relating. They're like, yeah, I do the same thing. And a lot of it can be stemmed from either guilt or how we're wired. But when we're super exhausted, and I have to admit, there were times where I would go to my husband and I'm like, why? Why couldn't I have 2 extra years to just be me? And now I have to turn around and take care of my grandparents, like, let's talk about that. Like that I
Yeah.
just wanted time for myself.
There's so many things that pop up in life that we decide that we need to help out with. And a lot of times we can feel as women like it's natural or we're wired for it. I heard you say both of those. But the truth is that really we're trained for it. Women are
Mm,
trained to be the ones who are supposed to notice, supposed to pick up the loose ends. And a lot of times, once we do that and we do it well, maybe because we're also good at it at work or with our own children, once we do it, then we just keep automatically doing it. So I think automatic instead of natural, because we're not necessarily better at it just biologically, but we're really trained for it over a
mm,
lifetime. And then when we do it, we start to feel like, okay, this is how my family loves and appreciates me. So we
mm,
keep doing it and we keep picking up the loose ends. And we struggle to feel like we can just be, like you said, in a family without feeling like we have to prove it or be worth it. Because when we try to just sit around, we feel guilty.
yeah,
But that is often some made up rules. Sometimes it's things that need to be done, right? Family members need care in certain ways, but sometimes it's stuff that we've picked up because we notice it first, we notice it better, we know we would handle it really well as a family CEO, and then all of a sudden we're stuck in it, we're stuck in a loop, we're stuck in the mud, and we're like exhausted doing everything for everyone all the time.
right. And I get that. And I love how you said, which I was like, yeah, you're right. We're trained for it. And we find our value in those praises because we could do it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's what we're meant to do all the time. Right?
Yeah, when we think about like how men show up in families, a lot of times men are praised for especially in the United States, going out into the world and achieving or finding success, making money, and they're not even always required to share that success with the family. They don't have to thank their family in their speech. They don't have to
Mm,
give money back to the family. Their men really are have this sort of ladder of success that they can follow linearly, but women are not. We don't often get messages that that's okay for us
mm,
to do. The messaging that we get is that women are best at and best prized for keeping people connected. Now,
mm,
there's a lot that we could say about nature versus nurture, but I and how we get here. But I think a big part of it is just what stuff gets noticed, articulated, and stated as being of value. And then that's the part that gets reinforced.
Right.
So my research on daughtering is saying we've got to notice the other stuff that hasn't been getting talked about. And we have to be our first champion for saying there's a lot more going on and I want credit for it. And I'm not trying to quit doing it, but I just need everybody to notice the resources that I'm putting toward this activity.
I really do love that. It's really, and it comes to creating those boundaries, right? And I know how women, especially, and I'm not generalizing women because I have some friends that are really great at setting some boundaries, but we have a tough time prioritizing what we need and creating those boundaries around it. It's so, I know I'm guilty of that. I can be quick to like cross my boundary because one of my kids needs something and it's probably something that probably could have done themselves, right? Now, how can we, you say, how can daughters really set boundaries without guilt when it comes to whatever they do in their life so that they can, what you were saying, find value in other things besides what we're typically, known for or expected to do?
One of the best things we can do when it comes to boundaries and real is realizing that boundaries, the goal of setting a boundary isn't to keep others out, it's to manage a balance between the interaction. So we have this saying, good fences make good neighbors. And I like to picture with my parents a beautiful picket fence, a white picket fence, which I can see through. It's short. You can get over the fence. It's not a wall. It's not this giant fortress saying keep
Keep
out.
out.
But as daughters, if we put up some boundaries, here's how much I have to give. And when I've reached the end of that limit, I have to redirect my resources to other things such as my career, myself, my health, my marriage, my citizenship in the community where I need to be showing up, or of course to our children,
Mhm.
especially our teens, because our children are minor children. They're very different than a parent. They're completely dependent on us.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I have to tell myself, my sister and I do this a lot. We go back and forth with each other, reminding each other, my parent is okay. They can handle this. It's okay if they don't do it perfectly. I don't have to step in on every single thing just because I see a way that I could and would do it better. It doesn't mean that just because I notice something that I'm responsible for it.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. And I think a lot of moms hear that.
Yeah, I want us to notice daughtering and just start talking about it and sharing our experience as a communication studies scholar and someone who's interviewed hundreds of women over the past decade. It's clear to me that when we start talking about what does it mean to be a daughter, what's hard, what's beautiful, what was a tension point, what was a time that felt difficult or like sandpaper, what
Mm,
was a boundary I put in place and how did it work or not work. When we share those stories with each other in our community, we get stronger and we make the work of doing daughtering visible. As it's visible to us,
yeah.
our partners can see it, our spouses, our children. And for me, I have two teenage children. I want to train them effectively
Yep.
how to show up for me once they're adults in just a few short years, and not have them just kind of feel like they have to just pick it up through osmosis. But I want to actually tell them what to do and not do so we can set up some healthy patterns.
I love that. I was just about to say that. And what a great model that would be is for them to watch you, interact with your parents and set those boundaries of what's healthy for you as a daughter so that your own kids can do the same, right? And know that that's your expectation. Like that's my expectation of my daughter. Don't feel obligated to do the half the things that you probably think you should be doing, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I want more than my children to just watch and pick it up. I say to them things like, when you're an adult, I'd really like you to visit, but I don't expect you to come visit every week.
Yeah.
You have a life, you have a career. I'm really proud of your career and your education and the life that you build off on your own. So go do that. When you come visit, however often that is, let's make it effective. Let's be off of our phones. Let's dig deep. Let's laugh and play games and spend the money on vacations. And let's cut from our lives these things that you think you need to do for me, but I don't really want, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And so I'm going to get my flu shot every year. I don't need you to call me and ask me if I got my flu shot or my shingle shot. I'm going to handle that.
Yes.
And so I'm telling them what I want and I'm telling them what I don't want. And we have to notice that's something that's been missing from parenting.
Yes.
I didn't get those messages, but now we can notice our own daughtering and then come up with some really good, almost like curriculum that we're training our kids really with intention. And we're also giving them permission to live their lives without guilt.
Right. Exactly. And it's funny because I actually come from the opposite where it was an expectation that we do highly get involved
Mm-hmm.
with our parents. Like they live with us, where the children are responsible for the care of your parents. And so it's a balancing act with me and trying to show my daughter, like, hey, I don't expect this from you. I do. I said, when I'm older, this is what I want. And I will be okay. That there's no um like the type of expectation, and I love my parents, and I think it's just a generational upbringing, that whatever expectation that your grandma's portraying on me, that I don't expect that on you. Now, I know there are moms on here listening too saying, yes, I do have an expectation from my mom. It's like, although it's not, it's been vocalized what they expect from us. How would you speak to moms there, like daughters there, who are dealing with this is what we expect, and this is a cultural norm that you take care of them the way the expectations are? So how would you speak to them?
There are so many older people, whether it's boomers or the greatest generation, or even some of your listeners may be real young and have a Gen X parent, who knows. There are some parents that just can't get enough and they'll just bleed you dry. They want more, 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 more phone calls, more visits, more of your emotional reserves, more access to the children, more holidays together. And it's important to recognize when if that's the situation that you're living in, that you have only so much battery life in your body and only so much time in your life, only so much finances, that you can put to something. So there may be some no's that you have to put in place. But what I have found is that most daughters aren't trying to do less. We really just want credit for what we are doing.
Right.
And when we talk about it and we create clarity, then the expectations can adjust to meet. So,
Right.
one of the things I recommend is, let's say your parent wants you to call every day, 3 times a day, visit 3 times a month, and you decide, I can't do that, but here's what I can do.
Right.
I'll call you twice a week, I'll visit once a quarter. Saying it out loud is a form of a boundary. This is what I can give. And your parent may not love it, but over time, once you continue to enact it and hold on to it, they will adjust. They may never stop wishing for more, but they'll understand this just is how it is,
Right.
as time goes on. And it's like a little gift to yourself to just say out loud what you will do and what you won't do.
It's true. It's so true. I've actually, as you were saying that, I've practiced that too, created some boundaries. I mean, yes, it was hard in the beginning, but at the same time, I think over time and consistency, right? It's helped align some things together, but also there's other ways you can show you love them besides the acts that you do?
Yeah, and one of the so important to notice that we love on our parent a lot of ways that are invisible.
Yeah.
I don't live next to my mom and dad. I'd have to travel by car to get to them. I'm here in Texas, so I'd have to travel a few hours to get to them. So I can't be face to face with them all the time, and I also can't call and have long conversations every day, but I'm often thinking about my parents, or I am imagining a future scenario that we can do together. So, one of the things I started doing just over the past few years is making that obvious to my parent. So one of the things I've been doing over the past few years is making that obvious. So I will say, when I'm not with you, I think about you. Or the
Mm,
other day, I was planning this thing. Or, I know it's not today, but 2, 3 years from now, I have a really great idea for us for a family vacation.
yes.
And that's going to fit in between the graduations or whatever. So we have to narrate out loud some of that thinking, some of that emotion work, some of the identity work. I go around someone and I say, "Oh, I made this pie. It was my mom's recipe." My mom's not even there, but I'm doing daughtering by representing our family. Then I go back to my family and tell them about what I did. And
Mm,
it starts to make the daughtering more visible. And once we see it, we can notice how much we're doing and give ourselves a break and say, "Wow, pretty good daughter. I've
you're
been doing
doing
a
enough.
lot of
Yeah.
daughtering, even though I wasn't right there next to my parent."
I really love that. I love that the journey is really vocalizing, being able to vocalize that out loud, not just to share it, as you were saying, but to have yourself hear it. And the more you can
Yeah,
hear it, the more your mind believes that, and it's real, right?
exactly. Exactly. There's this great researcher, I think it was Wyke, who said, "How do I know what I think till I see what I say?"
Hmm.
So, right, saying things out loud, telling other people your stories, putting a story on TikTok or listening to a podcast, those are ways of making visible what's happening in our heart, what's happening in our mind, what's happening in our social system. And then once we tell others about it, and I will tell a girlfriend, "I feel really guilty about this thing." And then she'll say back to me, "No, don't feel guilty. Your parents want you to be off, writing that book or
Right. Right.
traveling around the United States." So we can help each other be supported and bolstered. And so doing daughtering isn't just occurring one on one with me
Mm,
and my parent, it's this whole social action. And the more I talk about it and the more I share it, the more comfortable I feel with it.
mhm.
And the more I can decide its reasonable place in my life.
Right. I love that you also integrated that it does take community and accountability too, right? Because we can be our biggest proponent, but also our biggest enemy, right? And change our minds really quick by just one thought. And so it's so important to have girlfriends or moms who are also in that same season to be able to hold you accountable, lift you up, and remind you that you are doing enough. You are daughtering enough, even if you convince yourself that you can't see it, but you are,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, and part of why we are convinced and we haven't noticed is because we haven't been talking about it. And that's what we're here to do today. And that's what my book does. And at the end of every chapter, there's some activities. There are activities that are for you to have awareness. There's also activities to decide, what is it I want out of daughtering and how can I be a good daughter? Like, what does that mean to me in my life over the long term? And then there's some activities for how to talk to your parent, how do you talk to your sibling, how to set boundaries, or how to start a new tradition so
Mm,
that you can love your family and enjoy them in the proper amount of space in your life.
right. No, and it's true. It's really shifting how we see daughtering, right? It's training your brain to be okay with looking at it in a different perspective, right? And I think that's something that you do is help daughters, help daughters recognize that. Look at daughtering in a different perspective, not in what you've been groomed in or trained in or what just society tells you, but to look at it in a different perspective. And I love the work that you're doing as far as that. And since we're talking about like family care, what are some things? What are some things that families can openly discuss about generational expectations? with care and support.
Yeah, what women tell me over and over again is that talking about daughtering and having language for doing daughtering, it doesn't create more conflict. It creates relief.
Mm.
So that's really the first part of it is discussing it, talking about it. I find for me that one of the best places to start, if I'm a little bit nervous about what my parent might say or do, I
Mhm.
start with my husband. I tell my husband about what I'm feeling and what the pain points are and the tensions. I tell my children and I enlist my husband and children as active participants that are part of the network of me doing daughtering really well and not
Mm.
getting burnt out. One of the other things that I do before if I'm starting to feel burnt out, exhausted, stretched thin, I make a list of things that while they might seem like automatic stuff that I'm doing, what's something that I can drop? What's something that I can stop doing? And maybe I don't stop it forever. I'm just going to let it go for now because other parts of my life, the list got bigger. So I need this list to get shorter.
Right.
And I also think to myself, how can I enlist my siblings if there are siblings, or how can I enlist a neighbor? I mean, our parents, baby boomers, they love their neighbors, they love their community, and we need to encourage them to get out of their houses and get in community so that they're not sitting alone in their
Yep.
houses getting lonely, which is its own epidemic.
Yep.
So call the neighbor and say, help me out. And people love to be needed, they love to be wanted. And so make sure that you're practicing those things. But the last thing is to say to yourself, it's okay for me to be a B plus daughter. I don't need to be
I love
perfect.
that.
I don't have to be A plus plus. Honestly, many days I'm a B plus mom. I'm a B plus wife, and I think that'll be okay for today. And I need to give myself the option to be a B plus daughter. I'm doing enough for what they really need, but I don't need to do everything. I just need to show up just enough and let myself be imperfect and let other parts of the relationship handle itself.
That was so good. I have nothing else to add to that. I love the B plus daughter. Yes, because we're imperfect
Yes.
anyway, right?
Now listen, I'm a professor, so I'm giving you all permission to get a B plus, to earn a B plus. Your professor says it's okay to earn a B plus as a daughter.
I love
And that's what I do for myself as well.
so great. Well, as we wrap up our episode together, I really love this discussion. I mean, I can even have you come on again and just talk about a different aspect of daughtering because I know it's such a huge topic. What is one thing you want to leave with moms who are listening, raising their own teenage daughters, being a daughter themselves to aging parents? What is one thing you can leave them that they can do right after this episode?
Right after this episode, I want you to take a minute, take a beat in your mind and separate noticing from doing. And this is something we can apply to our teenagers as well as to our parents.
Mm.
Noticing a need doesn't automatically make it your responsibility. You can notice it. You can even say out loud that it's a need, but you don't immediately jump in and handle it. Girl, I know you're capable. I know you do it better than anybody else in the system, but these people have also got to learn to do things for themselves, and we have to let them try. So whether it's for your teenager, or it's for your spouse, it's for somebody in the workplace, or it's for your parent, separate the noticing from the doing or the rescuing.
Wow. I like that. Just because you notice a need doesn't mean it's your responsibility.
Exactly.
I mean, that literally wraps everything up that we just talked about. I love it. Nicely tied in a bow. Mic drop. Well, Allison, I know moms are going to want to know more about diving into doing daughtering. How and where can they reach you?
Yes, you can find me on socials at Daughtering 101. You can, and please do grab the book, which is called Good Daughtering and is on sale at fine bookstores in February. And you can find my website, daughtering101.com, if you want to get even more in touch with me. So I can't wait to hear your stories. I'm grateful for you, Jeannie, having me on today to share my work. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much for bringing this topic that I know a lot of us don't talk about, right? And now we have to start noticing. But go grab your book, Good Daughtering. I know I'm going to grab mine right after this interview. Thank you so much for being on, and I value everything that you're talking about.
Thank you.
Hey, friend, if this podcast inspired you or encouraged you or helped you in any way, I'd love for you to share it. You can screenshot this episode and share it in your stories on social media or text it to a friend who can use the support. It's the best way you can thank me. I want to let other mamas know they are not alone. I'd love to stay connected with you. You can find me at raisingherconfidently.com. Until next time, live full of grace, Jeannie.